Welcome to the Prop Shop, guys, where I'm going to show you how you can make your very own mask from the Netflix hit series Squid Games. And just to show you that I'm not kidding, here it is. I'm going to show you how you can make it fit you. Pretty cool, huh? Let's get to it. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and trace our pattern that I grabbed right from SKS Props. You can grab a copy for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description below, but then after you go grab that, come back over here because you came to watch me, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and transfer this onto some 6mm EVA foam, and when you're doing this, make sure that you trace the darts, because the darts are going to be important when we go ahead and put these masks together. Now it is going to be broken up into 3 separate parts, let's just say 3 plus a couple trim pieces. So we're going to get this finished. Then after that, move on to 2 other pieces that are a little bit difficult to see because I have white on white, but that's what I got. They're going to be the bottom portions of the mask. These parts don't need the darts, but the top does because it's one big piece. Now we're going to go ahead and trace the other one. Again, a little hard to see just because I got white on white. It's what I can get at Micheals. After we have the majority of our patterns traced out, we can go ahead and using a very sharp hobby knife, or box cutter, whatever you got handy, we can start to separate these into more manageable pieces. You can just cut them straight from the roll, but I find the smaller pieces are a little bit easier to work with, especially since my workbench is really not that large. So we're going to go ahead and separate all these pieces first. After everything is separated into smaller parts, we can go ahead and using, again, our very sharp hobby knife, we can go ahead and start cutting all along the lines. Again, this just makes it a little bit easier to work with. That's why I separated them into smaller pieces. Also, it kind of fits better on my camera. So we're going to start with the bottom portion of the mask. It is going to be separated into 2 parts. So, as you can see, since everything's in smaller pieces, we can go ahead and now cut along the lines. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the rest of this because, yep, just cut on the lines, guys. So now with the top portion of the mask, I'm going to slow this down and break it down a little bit better for you. Now, I am going to go ahead and cut all along the edges, using my weight to keep everything weighed down, but the darts are going to play an extremely important role in actually shaping the shape of this mask. That's going to allow us to give us the dome shape look that we're going to go for this entire mask. Now, the bottom part didn't need it, and I'll show you why in a little bit. That's going to get separated into 2 parts and have kind of like a middle thing that goes right down the, I guess, the mouth of their mask or whatever. But yeah, these darts are extremely important, and I'll show you how exactly we're going to glue them together in just a moment. But first, we have to cut everything out. So the darts, we're going to go ahead and use a little bit of our contact cement, which is a glue and an adhesive that we're going to apply to both sides of the things we want to stick together, let it dry to a tack, and then stick it together, where it's going to form a permanent bond, and it's probably going to have the foam rip if you try to tear it apart before the actual seam rips. But after we go ahead and glue these together, we can start mashing the pieces together. If you want to line them up more carefully, that's going to eliminate some more of the sanding we're going to have to do later. But let me show you exactly how, after I go ahead and glue all these darts together, how we're going to match each side up. So after the glue is dry, we can go ahead and try to match up all the corners. We could have put registration marks, but that's for a later time. I didn't do that. We can go ahead and try to match everything up and stick it together. That's going to give us the more rounded shape, like I said, we're going to be looking for in this particular mask. I am going to go ahead and speed through a little bit more of this, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say to line everything up perfectly to avoid a little bit of sanding when we come at the very end. But go ahead, line those darts up and start gluing it together. Let's kick this into some fast mode right here. After those seams are matched up, we can go ahead and start getting our trim pieces ready for the rest of our mask. This particular trim piece that I'm working on right now is going to go in between the middle mouthpiece to make them look like they could breathe. I don't know, I mean that's kind of what I got from the whole thing, so we're going to go ahead, put this on there, and cut it right out. The other trim pieces we're going to worry about in just a second. Now after this piece is cut out, I went ahead and measured from the outside to the inside a 1/4 inch on each side. This is going to be what's going to get glued to the opposite side of the bottom portion of the mask. Yeah, that's a mouthful, but it'll all make sense in just a second here. So I'm also going to go ahead and apply some glue, this one really doesn't matter, to the inside of the bottom part of the mask, just so this can stick together and all hold just like contact cement was meant to. So now is the moment of truth. This is where it's all going to come together. We're going to go ahead and put the little strip that we did using our 1/4 inch measurements that we made from the outside to the inside. We're going to go ahead and line them up with one of the sides of the mask, apply that, and then go ahead and apply it to the other part. Like I said, it all makes sense right at this point. At least I hope it does. At least I'm hopefully not mis-explaining this, but we're going to go with it. So, yep, hopefully this makes sense for you. Made sense to me. For the mask, I went ahead and marked about a 1/2 inch or an inch, no, it looks like a 1/2 inch, from the bottom of the top of the mask, so we can go ahead and stick the bottom portion to it and it can all be one piece. After that, I am going to go ahead and use the contact cement, just like we always do, and attach both pieces. So for the trim that goes around the rest of the mask, I cut out 1 inch, 12 inch long, 1 inch wide, 12 inch long little strips of 2mm EVA foam. Now I went ahead and taped this, or kind of used some double-sided blue tape to tape it down to a napkin because I don't want to get this board dirty. I would love to actually keep this cutting mat. So I went ahead and glued it and also applied the glue to the other side of the mask too. This is going to help to keep it down and make it 10 times easier to apply. Now again, 2mm EVA foam with some contact cement on both sides of the mask. After all the trim pieces are on, or at least the important ones, we're going to go ahead and use our rotary tool with a rough sanding drum. Go ahead and smooth out some of these seams right here. Now I didn't line them up perfectly just because, hey, I'm human and I'm perfect, but we're going to go ahead and smooth them out with the rough drum. Then we're going to use our stone grinding bit to kind of make everything nice and smooth so we can kind of almost eliminate these seams. Now, after that, it's really not going to look too much. You're really not going to notice these seams because after we put all these holes in, you're really going to be kind of distracted from the seams. That's kind of a plus, and you don't really have to go too crazy on this. You're going to make it look good anyway, I promise. After all the sanding's done, a quick heat treatment with the heat gun is going to seal up the foam and make all the paint and everything else grab a little bit better to the actual outside of the foam. Now we can go ahead and attach the trim pieces on the rest of the mask. Just as always, use contact cement. Pretty easy. And I think you should be an expert at this point. Now it's finally actually time to make the holes for the mask. Yeah, so this is going to take a while. So we're going to use the smallest setting on our Cost Tools hole puncher to go ahead and punch the hole and punch it out. Yeah, we're going to do this for the entire mask, minus the actual little middle piece that we have in the, on the very bottom of the mask. That doesn't actually get anything on it. But yeah, so I have a lot of work to do. Let's fast forward through all of this. And final hole cut out right here. There we have it. And yep, all the holes are punched out. And this is what I have to look at. Time to clean up. Now that's all done, we can go ahead and use our Plasti Dip to throw a couple coats right over top of the mask. We're going to probably go with about 3. With our 3 coats of Plasti Dip on, we can go ahead and start to mask off where we're actually going to put the triangle. I'm going for the soldier Squid Game dude looking guy. But yep, we're going to go ahead and take this tape, fold it over, and tape it go ahead to the mask. We're also going to go ahead and put some tape on the outside just so we can kind of paint freely and we don't have to really worry about too much. I did use the triangle template as a guide for where my tape is actually supposed to go. Now, after that, we can go ahead and paint the white on top of this mask. I'm going to go ahead and use the Plat FX paint because it is nice and flexible, and putting this mask on and off is going to put a lot of stress on it, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of dab it on since we masked everything off. It's kind of, doesn't really matter where it goes, but be a little careful. Now, one of my favorite parts is actually taking the masking tape off. When you take the pattern off, this thing is really going to come alive. So we're on the home stretch right now. We're going to go ahead and make this wearable by adding a 1-inch nylon strap to it. It's a non-slip and stretchy material, so you can make it a little bit smaller so it can actually conform to your head and fit a little bit better. But the most important part that I really want to draw some attention to is going to be the over-the-head strap. That's going to be the most important thing. If you just put the one that's on the back side of your head, it is going to tend to slip down, just like any other Halloween costume mask would. But we're going to go ahead and add this little security feature so you can kind of do whatever Squid Game things you want to do and it's not going to fall off your head. So by actually measuring up the top of your head, where it's actually going to sit, we're going to go ahead and loop it around, add some glue to it so it can kind of slide back and forth, but this is really going to hold the back of the mask and sit on top of your head. It's going to be super comfortable, I promise. I wish I would do this to a lot of my masks that I actually have a full face shield to. But alas, this is the first face shield mask I have done. So we're going to go ahead and do this, glue it to the very top of the actual mask itself, and guess what? We're done. This is it. Now it's just time to have fun. And there you had it, everybody. The soldier mask from Squid Games. Now, one of my favorite parts about this build was poking holes in it, though it did take a long time. Actually, I can see really well out this. It's not impeding my vision really at all. If I really didn't want you guys to see my face, I would throw some screen under there, but that's really besides the point. I had a plan to actually put some glue on the inside and put a screen there, but it didn't. I didn't need to, honestly. Could you really see my eyes or my face or anything like that? You're fine. So that's going to bring it to the end of the video for me, guys. I'm going to go ahead and give a big shout out to SKS Props, who actually, I use this pattern from him. And if anything, I would just make it smaller for my face because I have a small kind of face. But that's besides the point. I would really like to take a big shout out to him for actually going ahead, putting out the patterns there, and basically making my YouTube channel possible. So thank you, Steve. I appreciate everything you do. With that being said, if you guys really did want to go ahead and make this, right over on his channel, again, there is patterns you can download, and you could come back to my video and then watch how I made it. Because it's pretty cool looking, not gonna lie. Similar, but I did a different way of punching holes. So, slightly different, not by much. But anyway, that's gonna bring it to the end of the video for me, guys. Until next time, please stick around my channel, like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos. I'm gonna have them up in the corners and everything. I can add cards, but I don't know how to do that yet. Or I do, but I don't know where to point to them. Like I'm a cool YouTuber. So they're gonna be somewhere in this general area. Please stick around, check me out, support my channel, please. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. And then until next time, everyone, stay crafty, my friends.